So we're on location here at downtown Las Vegas, and the light couldn't be harsher. We've got literally 12 o'clock sun. So what I'm doing right now is I'm looking for creative triggers. And if you notice how I photograph, I'm always looking for 5 steps, what I believe are 5 steps to a great photograph. So number 1 is I'll look for the direction of light. Number 2, I'm looking for a location. Number 3, I pose my subjects. Number 4 is my technique, my composition, my cropping, my lens choice. And number 5 is that last little bit of finesse, which adds to the emotion of the image. So right now, if the lighting is bad, either I'm going to find the good light or create the good light in a location that attracts me. So what I'm seeing here right now, I'm seeing this palm tree and it's providing some texture. The lighting isn't great on it at the moment, but I'm actually thinking that if we actually provide some depth, and depending on how we position our models, I think it actually could look really cool. So again, sometimes the step number 2, which is location, will attract me first, but I've got to find the good light or create the good light. So the sun's coming from up high right now, and it's going to be tough to photograph her with no blown out highlights. Sometimes it's circumstantial, you have to work with what you've got. I want to photograph her without a diffuser reflector, which would be the obvious choice here, but let's just see how we go. I'm actually going to photograph through this for a little bit of mystery. The important thing here is not to do this. If her chin is up, let's bring her chin up for me, is not to have that sunlight hitting her nose or her eyes. We want completely even light on her face. Let's just compose the image, see how we feel, and then adjust from there. So right now we've got her sort of peering sort of through the fern there, almost sort of voyeuristically. I'm shooting with an 85mm f1.8, and let's sort of see how we go here. Now she's holding the light perfectly here. A lot of people will struggle to look in this light, but Amberly's doing a great job. So now what's happening is I'm actually photographing through those ferns, and the light is catching the leaves in front, and it's causing those blown out highlights. Now I can accept that, or I can adjust. Let me see if I adjust and see if that works. Turn this way. Good. Actually straighten up a little bit with your eyes again. And let's see what we do here. You may notice me actually fiddling with my buttons here, the function buttons on my camera. And one thing I love about mirrorless, among many things, is being able to use these function buttons as shortcuts to things that I'll be using all day. The top function button will actually be access to my menu, all the shortcuts that I use frequently. Okay, so that's that. The bottom one is a playback button. It actually shows the shot that I've just taken, and now whilst in playback mode, that top button now becomes 100% magnification. So very quickly I can access my menu, change what I want, press play, zoom up to 100%, and I'm basically done. This particular shot, I love that little peering off. I quite like the fact that she's peering off. It's a voyeuristic look. I'm shooting through something. So having that sort of wind blowing, cropping in tight, cutting out the highlights, and getting her to peer off, it's got that beautiful dreamy quality, which actually works. You've got that sort of that green and gold color of her hair, the green of obviously the fern here as well. And even those highlights on the bottom sort of blend into that negative space on the side. So we've actually made this sort of location that is quite tough to shoot into a very beautiful shot. Okay, another terrible location here. It's sort of in between that cool rustic vibe and something that you just wouldn't deem appropriate to photograph. Obviously right now, I mean, I could be in full sun or I can be in open shade, but there's a beautiful glow here. If you look at the iridescence on my hand, on my skin tone, because your hand really represents what your face is doing. In other words, the creases in your hand, and as you age and everything like that, your hand emulates what the face is like. So it's a good thing to look at your hand and look for the glow in the environment. So I'm actually going to photograph them, my models individually, because I quite like it. I think we can actually make it look really, really cool. Now, can you relax your hands down, put your hands in your pocket? Why I'm doing that, guys, is that I'm not really seeing his arms, but his hand was sort of coming out of nowhere. If I want him to look exactly where I want him to look in terms of the light and the catch lights in his eyes and everything, now I say look at my hand and then follow it and look that way, rather than just look a certain way that's nondescript. So you'll notice that if you're photographing a couple, I've got him there, Got Fernando there. I'm gonna bring Amberly in, get them as a couple, then he can go, then I photograph her. So the idea is that we're being efficient when we photograph, rather than just pull the person in, out, you just work out what's the best way, most efficient way, and quickest way to get the shots that we want. Go right close to his temple, that's perfect. Good. I told you about my function settings and how I use them. What I've done here is I've actually custom controlled my focus ring to be my ISO. So what I can do is I can have a safe handheld shutter speed. In this case, I'm at 800 speed. I'm already at 160 ISO because there's so much light coming in here. But what I want to do here is I actually want to photograph in color. So let me go back to standard mode. We're broad lighting her. She has a very narrow face. What does that mean? I'm actually shooting her on the bright side of her face and I'm shooting her on the short side. Traditionally, I normally would do it the other way. In this case, I think it actually really works. A narrow face, you can broad light, no problem. A shorter side, like let's say if she was bigger and broader, I would probably flip her on the other side to get more shadow. For the moment, this is just a standard shot, nice and clean, looking right into my camera, cropped in really close. Actually, I quite like that crop, isn't that beautiful? Good, hold it there guys, hold it there, nice. Good, hold it there, hold it. Now here's an important thing, because he has a darker skin tone and the light is coming from this direction, the question is, should we put the darker skin tone where the light's coming from, or should we switch it? Right now I'm sort of amplifying that she's fairer skinned and he's got a darker skin tone. But if you wanted to balance up the equation, so to speak, you would just simply flip them. So let's do that right now. Good, and then looking into her lips there, mate. So without moving your face. Good. Love that, that's gorgeous. So the reason why I decide to actually crop in camera rather than do it in post-production, because I want my client to actually know what they're looking at. I want the finished product either on the gallery or whether I'm selling it, so to speak. I want them to see and me to see exactly the way I envisage it. Otherwise, once you see something in a 2x3 color format, you can't unsee it. Like to sell a black and white square is going to be harder once they see it in 2x3 color. So I like to see it inside. So let's have a look at that shot and check how sharp that is. And every so often I might even show my couple, sort of give them an idea and give them sort of confidence that we're doing a really good job here. Although it's pretty simple, we're not doing anything too extravagant. Obviously they're not a couple, we're not after crazy huge animation. Right now we're just playing with the concepts of those 5 steps. So light led us here, location was here, I've posed them, then I get my technique, my crop ratio, whatever I want, and then if I like their emotion, I'm done. If I want to evoke it, I'll say something, could be what I say, how I say it, all that kind of stuff. And go really, really close. Oh, love that. So if I'm in a location like this, I'll be tempted that it's a bit easier for me. I'm not in full sun, although we'll do that very shortly. I've got beautiful glow of light. I'm really feeling this location. And you might ask yourself, well, if we are here, how would we change the look and the feel of this when it's the exact same location? Well, it's many ways, as we've already proven and as we'll continue to show, and that is with whether it's black and white, whether it's in color, whether it's in a 2x3 ratio, 16:9, 1:1, the feeling, the mood, all these things will make a bit of a difference. See, right now, if I was photographing for a portrait session, I would have photographed maybe 10 of him. You know, I would have probably photographed for maybe 2 or 3 spreads of an album. Right now, I've maximized him, I've taken a shot of him as a couple, and now I'm going back to her, and again, simply just changing perspective, lens choice, composition, how I stand, if I go wide, short, tall, everything will change once you do those things. Oh, love that, that's just beautiful. Relax the fingers a little bit on the wall, there you go, just like that, perfect. Stunning, gorgeous. Gorgeous, beautiful. Hold it. Stunning, guys. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful quality of light. Nice sort of shadow on this side of the face. And we've used that little gap to sort of pose her and constrain her. But here's the thing. When you've got strong vertical lines, there's no curve, there's no nothing. So if you create the shape in her figure, then we're breaking the pattern, because a pattern is certainly beautiful and very interesting, but a pattern interrupted is even more interesting. So we get those strong verticals, we make sure that our frame is parallel to the sides of the camera there, or the sides of the shot, and then all we need to do is just simply soften her a little bit, create those beautiful curves, get that shot looking great, and she looks amazing. So I'm now actually photographing with the 70-200mm lens, and we're going to shoot in the bright full sun. The important thing with the sun is that you actually need to bring the face up to the light. The sun is hitting her completely, and there's a direction of light. If we don't change her angle or change her positioning, the light is not going to look very unflattering, which we don't want to do. In fact, let's do that unflattering shot that we talked about. So let's see here. There you go. I'm going to show you right now. There is a really, really bad shot, a really, really bad light with a beautiful girl. And I dare say it, she doesn't shine as bright, metaphorically speaking, in that previous location. But we have to make this work. You'll notice that the shadow of her nose is actually not hitting her lip. That's an important one. With this, we've got to get her face right up and again, avoid that shadow cutting across. So let's have a look at what we've got going on here. Beautiful. Now, on the count of three, I'm going to get you to look at me. Just adjust your hair over your face so it's not hitting it. Good, very nice. That's how you do it. So if she can't look into the sun for more than a fraction of a second, doesn't matter. All we need is a fraction of a second. When she tilted her face and she brought her chin up, we had that beautiful shadow on her cheekbone. She's got stunning cheekbones and jawline, but we bring out the best by simply doing that action, and she looks amazing. That beautiful soft hands, the way she's sort of cradling her arms and then just relaxing and bending her arms, just actually her hands look really, really good. Now, before we get Fernando in this particular shot, I'm gonna just come up with a couple of different shots and poses with the sun to sort of show you how we can give you some variety. And what we're going to do is bring her face up, and I'm going to basically shave half her face with the shadow of her hand. The goal is now, if we can just cause a bit of a shadow on one side of the face, I want to get a tickle of sunlight on her jaw, which will add that beautiful depth and dimension. Let's see if we can do this. Stunning. Now, if you want to do a couple shot in the sunlight, and you wanted to get some kind of intimate shot, you would ask yourself, well, what could they be doing that would force her face upwards? In this case, I'm actually thinking that we give her an excuse to do that, to look natural, is maybe she's about to whisper in his ear. So let's do that. Hold her around the waist as if you're about to have a moment, and your face is going to bury into this side of her face. Now, and then hold her around the waist. Slightly bend that knee there for me. That's it. Good. And this hand's just here. Good. Chin up for me. Turn your face into his ear like you're about to whisper. And now lazy Susan this way. Love that. With Amberly, she can sort of look up. It's sort of softer, it's feminine, it sort of works well with the female form. When guys look up, I find that it doesn't work consistently as well. So you might be asking, well, what do you do if you want him to look up? Well, let's think about it. I'm a tall guy, I can shoot down. If I get him to squat down, that gives me the perfect reason. Get him to squat down, bring his chin up, and I correct that perspective rather than actually doing him like this all the time. Whereas with women, you can do more poses that suit the sun. Okay, so let's get you bringing those hands together, sort of, and then looking up that way. Good. Good. Chin up more again. Hold it there. On the count of three, eyes on me. 1, 2, 3. Good, close. On the count of three, you're gonna look just a bit below the sun, so look about there. Okay. Give me a second, really cool. Turn your face more left. Other left, that's good. Ready? 1, 2, 3. So I didn't take a crazy amount of photographs here. I actually shot it in 3 locations. One was with basically a palm tree or fern. Then we photographed this sort of derelict sort of location that was sort of abandoned, but we had a beautiful direction of light. There was some open shade, beautiful warm quality of light. Of course, we just photographed in the sun. Now, nothing is forcing you to photograph in bright noon, bright full sun with no flash, no diffuser, no nothing. But if you had to, just gave you a couple of examples of things to look for. I would say your shots just need to have a heartbeat. You just need to have a beautiful direction of light and understanding that when you're looking at all these shots together, then there's an ebbs and flows and it actually works really beautifully. In our next episode, what we're going to do is we're going to introduce reflectors and diffusers and use a location that perhaps is a little bit easier with this kind of lighting, and then slowly work our way into using perhaps some speed lights and some strobes and get a little bit more of an elevated, sophisticated look.